I read a case study on a child who had ADHD. What was interesting about this case study is that it was written by the director of this center. It was called a Center for Educational and Personal Development. And this center, what was interesting about it is that they use these neurotransmitters to gauge a person's brain waves to see, for example, if their brainwave is slow or if it's active, because we have different brainwaves that are dependent on whether or not we're focused on, like, let's say, the world around us, or we're more in a sleep-like state, more of maybe a meditative state, or maybe more of a dream-like state. So this boy in this case study that they called David, his brain waves showed that he was often in a state of daydreaming. Which was really interesting about this was that as a daydreamer, he then would act out. So he was daydreaming, but he was very physically active in class. He was oppositional, according to his teachers, and he was disruptive. So that's really interesting to me. I wouldn't have thought that in the process of your mind being in a daydreaming-like state, you can still be very physically active at the same time. And I want to learn more about that. I want to read more up into that. But anyway, going back to this case study about David with ADHD. David lived with his single mother and his two sisters, and his mother would drink a lot and turn to drugs for a while. David's school wanted to put him on Ritalin. That was his recommendation. That was a recommendation from some doctors. But his grandparents thought Ritalin was a bad idea. You know, Ritalin being kind of or speed. Well, I don't know if I'm saying that scientifically, but I do think that Ritalin's not very good for you. Neither is Adderall, I don't believe. But anyway, David was sent to this center, and he had the brainwave things connected. Actually, I went to a therapist once who did this for me too, but I only went 3 times, and I'm not really sure how it connected to our activities. So, but it was interesting. She puts the neurotransmitters into your head like this. So anyway, and read your brain waves. So David went to the center, and the director recommended that he go to an alternative school and that he attend regular counseling, that he didn't have any caffeine, and that he eat less sugar. So that all of those things, those recommendations were applied. And then what's interesting though, he did go to an alternative school, so that's kind of interesting. So he wasn't in mainstream education, but. By the 3rd session, he said he was enjoying it. By the 10th, his mother had said he was more attentive, happy, and communicative and responsive. By I think about like the 15th or 20th session, he was helping his mom with chores. And then by continuing the school and continuing with the counseling, he went back to his regular school. But according to the study and according to the man who wrote the study, who was the head of this Center for Educational and Personal Development, David became a very expressive and responsive boy in school. So it's very interesting to see how after therapy, after counseling, after kids can find ways, coping mechanisms for dealing with their tough situations, that they really can become engaged and productive learners. Okay.